Alright, hey everyone, Giselle here, and today I'm going to be doing a live version of the mid-year book freakout tag because I think it's a really fun tag and I always want to do it and then I always get like too in my head about it and then I never end up doing it. So I figured this year I'm just going to live stream it and then everything will be spontaneous and fun. I didn't prepare for this at all. So we're just going to go through the questions and I'll give my answers. If you want to give your answers, that would be awesome too. And this will be very chatty. I'll be talking to the people in chat. If you're watching this later on in the future, I'll be talking to the people in chat a lot, but you should be able to watch the live replay if you want to see what they're saying. And yeah, it will be lots of fun. Hi, Libby. So, let's get started. So the first question for this tag is, I'm using Julie from Pages and Pens. I'm using her video because she actually put the questions down there in the description, but if you want to see the questions, they're in the description of this live show right now. Anyway, so question 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2018. This is really hard. I've read a lot of amazing books. I could probably give a bunch of answers. Let me turn this to 100 so that way we can just have most of the books on one page. Best book I've read so far this year. So if we're talking about a new to me book, let me see. So not a reread. I think I would maybe have to go, I mean, it's hard to choose just one, but I think I would have to go with the last 2 books in the Enola Holmes series by Nancy Springer. They're incredible, super feminist Sherlock Holmes retelling, and the first 2 books in the series are good, but the last 4 books in the series are freaking incredible. And I had only read the first 4 before, so this was my first year ever reading books 5 and 6, and they're insanely amazing. So that's, I don't know, maybe my answer, but all of these books that I've rated 5 stars on my Goodreads are all the best books that I've read so far this year. I've actually had a ton of 5 stars. Most of them have been rereads. If we're going best books so far that I've read so far this year, that was a reread. I don't know. There's so many incredible ones. I think I would have to go though with The Strange Case of the not Artemis Fowl. Artemis Fowl is amazing, but I think I'd have to go with The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. It's disappeared. There we are. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. This is by Theodora Goss, and it's the first book in the Extraordinary Adventures of the Athena Club. And it's another retelling. It's a very feminist retelling. If you can't tell, I really like feminist retellings, apparently. And it's a mix of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's like the biggest one, but it's also The Island of Dr. Moreau, Frankenstein, Rappaccini's Daughter, and Sherlock Holmes again. I have a thing, obviously. I read this last year, and I was really worried rereading it that I wouldn't love it as much, but I absolutely loved it just as much, if not more, because I'd never read The Island of Dr. Moreau before reading this the first time, so that I read it since then, and then I reread this, and it just made it mean so much more. So, I don't know, I just absolutely loved reading it, and these covers are phenomenal, and yeah, I really enjoyed rereading this. I've enjoyed rereading all the books that I've reread so far this year, though. Like, a lot of these are rereads, and they're incredible. Libby says that she already has this tag out on her blog. So if you want to check that out, you can. It should be linked through her channel. Right? Your blog. Okay, the best sequel you've read so far in 2018. That would probably go... again, that could go to The Case of the Gypsy Goodbye and stuff, and The Case of the Cryptic Crinoline, since those are both sequels, but since I already used those once, I'm going to go with The Bollywood Bride by Sonali Dev. This is the second book in her Bollywood series, and book 1 is The Bollywood Affair, and book 3 is A Change of Heart, and then book 4 is A Distant Heart. Last year, in 2017, I read The Bollywood Affair and A Change of Heart. I really liked this one, but I absolutely loved A Change of Heart. I didn't know how I'd feel about book 2 because book 3 kind of like crushed me emotionally, but I loved book 2 almost as much as book 3. Like, they're very comparable in my amount of love for them, and so I think reading this one first, though, like, emotionally prepared me for this one. So, anyway, I loved it, and I recommend giving this whole series a try. So, that's probably the best sequel I've read so far this year. Hi, Keisha. You haven't been on your blog for I don't know how long. Wow. That's me whenever I start a project. I'm like, oh, wait, why haven't I touched that for so long? Okay. Welcome all. I'm just doing a live version of the mid-year book freakout tag because I always flake out with recording this and actually editing it together, so I figured I'd just do it this way to be much better. Okay, question 3 is what we're on to. If you have questions for any of these, please leave them, because we all need more books to read, obviously. So question 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. So for this, I'm going to go to my want to read shelf and sort it by release date. And for some reason, it's not working. Goodreads, please work. Oh, isn't that lovely? Perfect time for Goodreads to stop working is when it won't show you anything. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Goodreads. Oh, here we go. Why? Okay. You haven't posted in years, but you have one. Yeah. I never started a blog. I almost did, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna flake out. I might as well just not start it at all, and so I never did. Okay, so a new release that I want to read but haven't yet. So this means books that are already out. Probably at the top of my list would be The Woman's Hour. So this is The Woman's Hour by Elaine Weiss, The Great Fight to Win the Vote, and it's a feminist nonfiction book. Wow. I have a theme, and it's just about America's women getting the right to vote, and it sounds really good. It has a really good rating, and it just came out in March. And I actually have this on my TBR for Tome Topple, so I'm hoping to get through it. It says that it's only 410 or 416 pages, but I think if you go to like the ebook edition or something, it's over 500 pages. Yeah, 552 pages if you read the ebook edition. So I'm going to count it for Tome Topple. But I haven't gotten to it yet, and it's been sitting on my list since it came out. For how many months is that? Almost 4 months. So it needs to happen. Is that right? All of March, all of April, all of May, all of June. Yep. Okay, I can math. Alright, so the next question, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This is hands down, without a doubt, going to be... Oh, well, I kind of have 2 answers. Can I give 2 answers? Okay, here's my 2 answers. The number 1 most I'm so excited for is European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. This is the second book in the, Extraordinary Adventures of the Athena Club. This comes out in 2 weeks, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It comes out July 10th, and I'm counting down the days, and the second it comes out, I have it pre-ordered. The second it comes out on Audible, I'm just like listening to it every second that I can until I'm done. I heard that it's not as good as book 1, and I'm prepared for that, but I still expect it to be really, really fun and a really great ride. So I'm just really excited. I can't wait to get back into like the awesome characters and Mary. I love Mary and everything. I'm super, super excited about this book, and I cannot wait. The other book that I'm really excited for is The Other Miss Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This is the 3rd book in the Rokesby series by her. This is a prequel series to the Bridgerton series, and I've been really enjoying them. I don't love all of Julia Quinn's like older books. I do like a lot of them, don't get me wrong, but I've loved every book in this series. And so this is one that I'm just like really excited for, because I've given book 1 and book 2 both 4 stars because they were really, really good. I actually really want to go reread book 1. So yeah, maybe I'll do that soon. And anyway, I read this one as soon as it came out. So the second this one comes out, I will get to it. This was supposed to come out in June, and then like a few days before it was released, they switched it to November. And needless to say, I was very, very upset. But I'm still excited to get to it as soon as I can get my grubby little paws on it. And I already have this pre-ordered on Audible as well. So the second it comes out, I will devour it. Hi, Elizabeth. And again, if any of you guys want to answer the questions, they're all linked in the description of this video. So if you want to answer them, please do, because we all need more wonderful books to read. All right, so next question. Biggest disappointment so far this year. That's not necessarily the worst book you've read all year. But the absolute biggest disappointment. There's been a lot of big disappointments. Let's just go over them because they all sucked. So let's just talk about what... These aren't ones that I'm just like read and was just like, oh, like that was really bad. Nah, too bad. Like these are ones that I was genuinely expecting to love and that I was just really disappointed in. Like things like The Kiss Quotient, where I didn't have high expectations, so when I didn't love it, I wasn't like too distraught over it. These are ones that I was like expecting to love and was so sad about. So let me see. I think those would be all of them. The Night Circus is another one. Okay, let's talk about all my big disappointments for the year. There's a lot. I've been very disappointed this year. Okay, number 1, Rescue My Heart by Jill Shalvis. This is the 3rd book in the Animal Magnetism series, and I DNF'd this book a little past the halfway mark because the main guy was a misogynistic twat. It was great, and he kept saying really, really jerkish things about women, and it was, I was not here for it, so I DNF'd it, and it sucked. And I really, really loved book 1 and book 2, so I was just so disappointed. I'm like, I don't know how Jill Shalvis has written such really great books. First 2 books in series, and then book 3 I hated, and book 4 I have like an hour left of the audiobook, and I think it's gonna get like a 1.5 star rating. So I don't know what happened, and I don't even know if I should continue on with the series, but I'm very disappointed. Next book that I was so insanely disappointed for. Hi, Bruna. Glad you can make it. Okay, so the next book that I was really disappointed in is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is one of those older Julia Quinn books that I just do not like, and it has a very high rating, so I'm unique in this, but oh my word, I don't think I typed up what made me so mad about this. It's a Cinderella retelling, and like the first, say, 20% of this book is really good. I actually really enjoyed the first 20%, and then the main guy just gave me the heebie-jeebies, was like constantly trying to like force himself on this girl, and she kept like telling him no. She kept telling him that she didn't want to have like sex out of wedlock because she was born out of wedlock and she never wanted to do that to a kid of herself, like force, like accidentally have a kid out of wedlock. So she just keeps telling him that he won't have sex with her, that she won't have sex with him, and he keeps on like propositioning her and being like, come on, have sex with me, come on, have sex with me. And it was so cringy and just made me so mad, and he kept saying like really gross things, and he did not respect her at all, and I just I hated it so much. And it's a Cinderella retelling by Julia Quinn. I thought it was going to be amazing, and it was horrible. If you want to get a little bit more thoughts on this book, if you go and read 1-star reviews of it, there's some really good ones talking about how it's not nice. So I was very disappointed, and I don't understand how anyone likes this book. Sometimes I really hate or dislike books, and I understand why other people like them. I genuinely do not understand how anyone likes this book, because it grossed me out so much. I'm being a little dramatic. Please do it on your blog. That would be great. It's such a fun tag to do. Okay, the next book that really, really disappointed me this year is Flying Too High, a Franny Fisher mystery by Carrie Greenwood. This is the second book in the Franny Fisher series, and I love this TV show, and I really liked book 1. And then this book just, like, was a mess. It's so short, yet had too much going on, so you just didn't believe the mystery, and there just, like, wasn't enough time spent with it. And it was just, like, very, like, jarring that way. And then she just does, like, things that really irritated me. Like, she's helping a client, and then she goes and, like, sleeps with their fiance, which I was just not about. I'm like, Franny, what are you doing? What the heck? Don't sleep with your client's fiance. What is wrong with you? I don't know. She just really, really irritated me with this one. And the more I think about this book, the more mad it made me. And I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this book, but I was so disappointed. Right now I'm talking about my most disappointing books of the year so far. We have a couple more to go. Hi, Judith. I'm glad you're here. We're only on question 5, so we still have 10 more questions left, and I'm not even done with question 5. If you guys want to answer any of these questions, they are down below, linked below, and feel free to answer them, and we'd love to hear all your answers. My next most disappointing book this year so far is A Tale of Beauty and Beast, a retelling of Beauty and the Beast by Melanie Sellier. This is the second book in the Beyond the Four Kingdoms series, and this is a sequel to A Dance of Silver and Shadow, a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. So this is book 1, and this is book 2. Talking about book 2 really isn't going to spoil book 1 for you. Basically, book 1 is one of the most, like, imaginative fairy tale retellings I've ever read. I thought it was excellent. It was very interesting, clever, and just, like, really well crafted. And book 2 is just the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast, scene for scene. And I was so disappointed because I loved book 1 so much. I was like, book 2 is going to be brilliant. I think I found one of my new favorite fairy tale retelling authors, and, like, this is going to be so wonderful. And then it was just the movie, and it was so absolutely derivative of the movie that it made me so mad. I gave it 2 stars still, because everything that wasn't exact scene for scene from the movie was really interesting and imaginative and exciting and unique. And then everything that wasn't those things was just the Disney movie. And it irritates me so much. I just don't understand how someone can write something that is literally exactly, almost word for word, something else and be proud of it. I was less mad with this book and more just so disappointed because book 1 was so good. I know this author can do amazing, and this book just wasn't that. So, anyway. Oh, Judith, your phone was dead. Oh, dear. Okay. And then the last most I have another one. Okay, so the second most disappointing book, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is, I think everyone knows what this book is about, and I just found it really boring, and I DNF'd it like 30% in because I just couldn't get into it, and thought it was really boring and slow. So I was just very disappointed because I've had it on my TBR since like 2013. And the last book that I was really disappointed in so far this year is Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleaton. This is a book about this girl who, when her grandma dies, she ends up like sneaking her ashes into Cuba to like spread them there because her grandma hadn't been back to Cuba since the revolution. And so she goes and she's going to do that. And I thought it was going to be wonderful. I was really excited. I, listened to, before I read this book, I listened to an interview that the author had with someone else. And the person was like, and Chanel ended up talking about, how it's very similar to her own experiences, how her grandma had just passed away, and that, inspired her to write this book because it was very similar in that way. And I was like, this is going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited. Own voices, all this stuff. And it just was so boring. And it had, elements of cheating in it. And just, things that just didn't jive with me. And I was just really bored and disappointed, and I think I DNF'd it around 50 to 60% of the way through. I just couldn't get into it. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know how it got published. It's just copying the movie, to the point where there's a ballroom scene where she's wearing a gold dress and her hair is up in a half up, half down hairdo that's curled. And I was like, what are you doing? This is just the movie. Please do anything else but what you're doing. It was frustrating. Hi, Joseph. One of your biggest disappointments was White Houses by Amy Bloom. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah, surprised Disney wouldn't go after her. I don't think Disney knows who she is, since the book has... Let's see. The book has... Well, if I could find the book. It has 600 ratings. Less than 600 ratings. So, no one even knows what this book is. It's just, a tiny little, small publisher. I think the publisher prints this book and, one other, series. I don't get it. Anyway. You want to read that book just for the laughs now. It was so frustrating. Book 1 was so good, though. Book 1 is amazing. Please read Book 1. It's wonderful. Ugh. And now I'm, so conflicted about this author. I'm like, do I want to read her other books? I'm just afraid to read anything that has a popular other version. So, this is her other series, the Four Kingdoms series. And I haven't read any of them yet. This one's a Princess and the Pea retelling, so we'll probably be fine. But this Little Red Riding Hood one, maybe, or whatever. But Rumpelstiltskin, is there a popular Rumpelstiltskin? I'm not sure. But Sleeping Beauty, I'm, terrified to read. Do not want to read the Sleeping Beauty one, because it's... What if it's just the Disney movie again? Or Frog Prince, what if it's just the Disney movie again? Why? So now I'm, scared to read anything that has, a popular rendition of it. I mean, I've seen renditions of all of this. I've watched, movies or TV shows or whatever that had these themes. But I think I'm out of the ordinary there. I'm excited that she did a Snow White and Rose Red retelling as well. But if she makes it Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs at all, I will be furious because they're different fairy tales. And I wish people would stop acting like they're the same fairy tale. Anyway, I haven't even read them yet. I'm just judging at this point. Okay, moving on. Your biggest disappointment was 13 Reasons Why. I have no desire to read that book. Oh, I don't. Thank you. I try to be. I love fairy tales. Let's see. Biggest surprise is the next one. My biggest surprise, honestly, was maybe A Dance of Silver and Shadow, book 1 of that Beauty and Beast one. It was just surprisingly wonderful, which made the next book so surprisingly sucky. But genuinely, this is a really, really wonderful fairy tale retelling, and a very good version of 12 Dancing Princesses. I think that's the best thing about it, is that it is a retelling of 12 Dancing Princesses, but it's done in a super great, awesome sister relationship, awesome friendship relationship, really great way. Another one of my biggest surprises for the year would be Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied on stuff. This was wonderful. I've never seen the movie. I didn't know anything about what this book was about. I went in totally blind and it floored me and I absolutely loved it. I think this book is so ingenious and phenomenal and I really, really recommend it. I think it's superb and I don't want to talk about it too much because if you haven't seen the movie or if you don't know what it's about, I recommend going in blind, but it is wonderful. And I really, really loved it. That one it shocked the heck out of me. I was not expecting to love it nearly as much as I did. Okay, let's see. "13 Reasons Made You So Sad." I'm not surprised. It's a sad premise. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. Isn't that weird that a book with that title exists when there's this 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo? That's way too close of a title. Is it this? The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle? It's a mystery fantasy thriller. Oh, and apparently a lot of people were reading them and said it was amazing. I don't know anything about this, but on it goes. Oh, why is it doing that? I did not mark it as read. I marked it as to read. It keeps doing that. It's done that multiple times today so far. I've not read this. I literally clicked to read. Okay, next question. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? Let's sort it by author and see who pops up. New author. New to me authors. I don't know. I feel like I would only call an author like a favorite author, though, if I've read like at least 3 or more of their books. And so sometimes if authors only have one book, I'm like, I don't know if I can call you a favorite author. Let me see. More new to me authors. Sorry, this is when it gets kind of boring because I have to like think about it and figure it out. And so many authors are so hit and miss with me as well. Where a lot of authors, like, I love a lot of things about them, and then I love like 3 of their books in a row, and then I'll give like the next like 2 books by them like 1 star each. I'm very hit and miss with authors. Let's just finish going through the rest to see if there's any other authors that really stood out that I loved. Probably not, since I did a lot of rereading this year. And a lot of authors that I'd read in the past. Okay. I am counting one author that I started last year. Okay, so let's go through my favorite new authors. Kathy Yardley, who's the author of the Fandom Hearts series. I've read all 4 books that are out in the series, and I am so excited for the next book coming out soon in the series. It's not on Goodreads yet for some reason, but it comes out July 31st, I believe. This is a really cute geeky romance series, contemporary geeky romance series. I really, really loved book 2 and book 3. They're excellent. And book 1 is really good as well. I think the 1.5 novella is kind of pointless, but maybe that's just me. Apparently it was written first, which I don't know why. Thank you for spawning these other wonderful books, but you yourself is useless. Anyway, I especially love book 2, and if you are fans of things like TV shows like Supernatural, you will probably really like this series. Anyway. Apparently midweek lives get more people. Apparently. I don't know. Doing it Sunday is like super convenient for me because then I have like a fresh head, but I do want to start doing a couple more like midweek ones just because I think they're really fun. Another new author, I don't think I've ever read anything else by H.G. Wells. I'm pretty sure I haven't. So this is my first H.G. Wells, The Island of Dr. Moreau, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm very excited to read more of his books. I just thought it was fascinating. So he's another one that I want to dip my toes into more, but I really liked him. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I've read this book like 3 times so far this year. I just love her writing. I'm very nervous for her next book coming out, and I'm trying not to let myself get too hyped up about it. But I do love this book, and I think her writing and her characters are so interesting. So, that's another new to me author that I really enjoyed. I've only read 2 books by this author so far, Laura Kay, but this duology totally, like, stunned me when I read them. I thought they were incredible. I think you might be able to read this online, the 2.5, and I don't know if I'm going to, but I really love this duology, The Hearts in Darkness and Love in the Light. I liked the first book better, but they're both really good. Jennifer Ashley has been a really great one so far this year. This is another new release that I'm excited to like read the sequel to. The next book is coming out soon, Scandal Above Stairs. But I technically did start her. I think I read the first book that I've ever read by Jennifer Ashley in December of 2017, so this is technically cheating, but I've read several books by her so far this year. I read book 2, book 3, and then this one, and I've really enjoyed everything I've written by her that I've read so far, and I'm excited to read more of her books. I want to read almost everything now by her because I just really enjoy her, and she's a very solid writer. She has another book. Are you talking about Sally Thorne has another book? Not yet, though. It comes out next year, right? Anyway. But it's not out yet. Let's see. Sally Thorne. When you type just too fast. Does she have an E on the end? She does. My bad. Yeah, she only has 1 book. So hopefully her next book is just as good, but I have my doubts just because I don't know. I'll be very impressed if the other one's half as good as The Hating Game. That was your first one too. You were giving him a second try. What else had you read by him? I know, I need to read The Time Machine and The Invisible Man. Like, I need to read a lot of Wells books, but War of the Worlds, I think, is the next one I'm going to pick up by him. But And I'm excited to read more. I'm very inspired to read more of his books, but I just haven't gone to them yet. Oh, you didn't know she was coming out with another book. Yes. I think it comes out January 19 is when it's supposed to come out. January 29th, 2019 is supposedly the publication date. Hopefully it's good. I think it's like her hooking up with like her brother's best friend or something. Is from what I believe it was about. Let's see. You haven't read The Hating Game, but you need to get to that. Please do. It's really good. I just absolutely adore the characters. I've read it 4 times this year. Because I'm crazy. Food for Gods. You like the book, but hate the movie. You read The Time Machine, but it wasn't your favorite. It was one big monologue. Yeah, I feel like I remember someone talking about how, like, the writing in The Time Machine is very interesting because it's someone just, like, telling a story, isn't it? Oh, who was talking about that? I don't even... Oh. What is her name? I remember someone talking about that on their YouTube channel, I think. Anyway, next question. Newest fictional crush? I don't get fictional crushes because I just don't. I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, there's characters I like, but I don't have crushes on them. Newest fictional crush. I really like Lucy and Josh from The Hating Game. They're great. I like their personalities. I really like Beezus a lot from Beezus and Ramona. I think she's wonderful. Does another question have to do with characters? Newest favorite character. So I'm just going to answer those instead. I really love Beezus. Ramona is so obnoxious, but Beezus is a darling. There's a lot of characters in the Enola Holmes series, but since I've already read the first, like, half of the series in previous years, it doesn't count. Newest characters that I love. A lot of these are rereads. I really liked the characters in the Viscount Who Loved Me. Let's see. Favorite fictional best friend. Who would you want to be best friends with then? Oh, I don't know if I would actually want to be friends with any of these people. I don't I don't know. I don't make friends. The thing is, I like a lot of, like, very, like, manic characters, and I think they're so, like, fascinating and endearing, but I don't want to be friends with them because that seems, like, very, very stressful. Let's see. Do you like older authors even if they're more juvenile? Yes. Specify more what you mean. Like, older meaning, like, more classic authors? I don't know if they're more juvenile, though. Did you ever read 50 Shades of Grey? No, I've never read 50 Shades of Grey. Wait, how was I throwing shade? I'm confused. What did I say? Oh, just at, like, manic people? I mean, I just feel like I get very manic myself, so I wouldn't want to be around myself. I haven't read the Keys to the Kingdom series, but I really love Garth Nix. I've read 3 books by him now, and I think he's a very fascinating author. I just haven't read any of his series yet. You loved War of the Worlds, although you recommend trying to find this. Yes, that was my plan. Someone told me that I need to try the original. So that was my plan when I finally get to it. But you're saying that you want... I don't really want to be friends with a lot of people, honestly. It's not that... It's just like being... I don't know. I get overwhelmed sometimes. I talk to Chris, and, like, that's about it. I'm a really bad friend. I don't think they want to be friends with me. The characters in the Lazy Girl's Guide to Magic series would be fun to hang out with. Yes, but that's not new to me characters. I met them last year. Let me see. Who else did I really like? If we're talking about rereads, Nina's hilarious. I think I would want to be friends with Nina's dad because he's a riot. But again, that's not a new to me character. I've reread those. I think it would be really fun to hang out with a group of girls in the Phantom Hearts series. They're delightful. Oh, who else? New to me people. And the thing is, like, I really like the characters in Colty, but I don't want to be friends with them. All I talk about is soccer, and that's so boring. Like, a lot of things like that happen where I'm just like, well, I like that character, but I don't want to be friends with them. Whoops. The broadcast is a better experience than the print book, in your opinion, because the cast made it seem so real. Yes, definitely planning to get to that. Hi, Desta. That's a good point, Elizabeth. That is a good point. I really liked the chick in... in this book as well. I don't remember her name, but I really liked her as well. She was very funny. She made me laugh a lot. I don't think it says her name. Nobody says her name. Nobody knows who this author is. Zoe, I think is her name. She was great as well, but I need to read book 2. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, I wouldn't want to... I think they're fascinating, but I don't want to be friends with them. That's my problem. I don't know. I don't think this is the question for me. Let's move on to another question. Book that made you cry. Book that made you cry. What books made me cry this year? I don't know if I remember. Okay. Book that made you cry. I bawled during the Bollywood Bride. I know I'm dead because... Ugh. Yes, I cried a lot in this. I don't know, just reading book 3 and then reading book 2 after that. Book 2 is gonna make you emotions be kind of crazy. I think I cried during the Hating Game. Not sad tears, just like cuteness tears, I guess. I don't know. What else did I cry during? I cried while reading From Here to Eternity, by Caitlin Doughty, because I just love Caitlin Doughty so much. The book wasn't necessarily sad. It was very beautiful. But anyway. You feel a little bit like this about publishing diaries. You think right now if you would want to be friends with any of your reads this year, it'd be Aragon and Seraphina from Aragon. I haven't read Aragon since I don't know, I think I read it like 8 years ago. And I read it and I got to the very end and I was like, Wow, I really didn't like that book. I never touched anything else by Christopher Paolini again. I was just like, oh, that was really boring. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, I didn't even realize that I didn't really care for it until I got to the end, though. And then I was just like, oh, no. Let's see. Charlotte's Web always makes you cry. You need to reread it. Um, yeah, I feel the same, Bruna. I have a lot of empathy, so I end up crying a lot. You cry in at least once in almost every book. Oh geez, I don't cry that much. You've been more mad than anything else. Oh geez. I'm trying to think what other books I've cried in. I think I cried in A Distant Heart. I think I've cried in like every Sonali Dev book because she just rips my heart out while I read her books. What else have I cried in? I cried in Love in the Light. I didn't cry in the first book, but I cried in the second book. I was like, oh. And I just read this a few days ago, and I vividly remember crying during that. Um, I think I might have cried in Dark Wild Night by Christina Lauren as well. Trying to think if there's any others. I'm not great at remembering when I cry in books because it happens fairly often, but not like too often. It's not like so unique that it like surprises me when it happens. Mostly just books that end up like tearing my soul out is what I cry during. Let's see. Four by Veronica Roth. I did not read past Divergent. I cry more in movies as well. I think it's just like, especially if other people are crying, then I start crying. Like I have to visually see it and then I start crying. You need to act it out in your head and that's how you end up crying. Nice. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I think that's all. I think those are all the books that made me cry. All right, what's the next question? What's the next question? A book that made you happy. Well, actually, before I answer that, I'm going to go to the bathroom, get some more water, and then I'll be back. And we'll finish answering the questions because my throat is starting to hurt. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. You've surprisingly cried more in nonfictions this year. I haven't read as much nonfiction this year as I would like to, but I do cry in nonfiction a lot as well. I think I probably cried during the Code Girls as well. You read 22 pages of Divergent once. Nice. Oh, that's awesome, Bruna. Yeah, Insurgent, I got like maybe halfway through. I think I got like 100 pages in, and I was like, I hate this. And I never finished it. Yeah, same thing, Elizabeth. I'm like, I wonder if those books are actually good. That's what I wonder. Okay. Question number 11. A book that made you happy. Oh, I have lots of books that made me very happy this year. The number one that comes to mind is like right at the top right here as soon as it flips over. Little Moments of Love by Katana Chetwynd. This is just like a cute little comic collection of this girl and her boyfriend's relationship, and like literally half of it at least reminded me so much of Chris and I, and it just made me really happy. Like, I laughed through the whole thing, and I just like felt like so connected to them. It was great, and I loved it. A book that made you cry because it was so boring. Coffin Scarcely Used, a Flaxborough mystery book, number 1 by Colin Watstone. All right. I'm really bad at finishing series too, Bruna. I think a lot of people are. Another book that made me happy, The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennet, was a really big surprise as well. It was so enjoyable. I don't know, some people were saying that they just didn't think it was necessary. I thought it was great, and it made me so happy. I loved it. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted and needed, and now I want to go rewatch the TV show. I mean, not the TV show, but the miniseries again for like the 5th time. Even though I just rewatched it earlier this year. I loved it. It made me very happy, and I was so surprised by it as well. More of the books that made me happy. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Narwhal, Unicorn of the Sea by Ben Clanton. This is so funny, so cute, so adorable. If you haven't read it yet, please go pick it up. It's 100% worth it. It's so wonderful. Let's see. The Prodigal Tongue, the love-hate relationship between American and British English by Lynn Murphy made me really happy this year. It's exactly what it sounds like, and I found it fascinating, and also it made me really happy because I learned a lot of like new information, and I was like running into Christopher's like office every 10 minutes or so saying, did you know this, did you know that, did you know this, oh, and this is why this happens, and this is why this happened, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And he's like, that's nice. And I'm like, but it's so interesting. And I was very happy. Hi, Tamara. Sorry. Hi. Glad you could make it. I haven't seen you in forever. Okay. Question number 12. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? I watched all the Marvel movies. Those are graphic novel to film translations, sort of. It's not like an exact adaptation, but it's inspired by. I rewatched the Lizzie Bennet Diaries again. I think those are the only movies I've watched so far this year. I have not watched a lot of movies. Is Ready Player One out? I didn't even know that it came out. I've not been paying attention. I didn't like that book very much. I think one of my most disappointing books of 2017. So I have no desire to see the movie. But, I mean, I think it's great that people are reading science fiction, though. That makes me happy. Yeah, you have been missing my streams. It's good to see you in here. Yeah, I can't think of any others. I mean, my favorite Marvel movie, since I watched all of them this year except for Iron Man 1 and Thor 1 and Captain America 1. I've watched all of them except for Avengers Infinity War. I haven't seen that one yet. Probably Winter Soldier. That was phenomenal. I love Winter Soldier. That's probably my favorite one. And Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and I don't think I've watched any other movies. I just don't watch movies, so. Let's see. You have to read the last book in the Bill Hodges trilogy by Stephen King, then you can finish that series sometime this year. Chris really didn't like book 3, so good luck. And My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. What about it? Is that a good book to movie adaptation? What are you saying? You think you've watched one movie this year. The only reason I watched all the Avengers movies, because I think Chris and I watched Lord of the Rings, but that's a rewatch, doesn't count. We rewatched Lord of the Rings in January or February while like scanning books and stuff. But that might have been last year. I can't remember. I don't remember if it was that last year or this year. Anyway, the only reason I ever watch movies at all is just because Chris wants to. Oh, good book, but you haven't seen the movie yet. You watched Set It Up on Netflix. So good. I've never even heard of that. Is that a book? I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, moving on. Favorite review you've written this year? Booktube version. Favorite video you have done so far this year? Well, since I've barely done anything this year, I have no clue. All I've done this year is like live streams, I feel like. I did like my reviews I was doing at the beginning of the year. I liked them, I guess, but I don't remember which ones I liked best. And then I've just been doing live streams. Because the flakiness is real, you guys. This should be a book. That's another way to take the tag. This is a movie that should be a book. Okay. Let's see. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. These were beautiful. The Waverly novels. A like matching set of all of them. Those are beautiful. What other beautiful books have I gotten this year or bought this year? I don't know. I don't pay attention to like when I buy books. Is that bad? I don't know, they just come into our lives and then we put them on the shelves. I bought quite a few old books so far this year, but I bought a lot of them last year and the year before as well, so I don't know. I guess I'll go with those because they're really cool. You watched it twice in the same day. Wow. You must really love it. Okay, and what books do you need to read by the end of the year? The most obvious answer is everything on my 2017 TBR list. So let's just review those really quickly. I haven't yet... No. Stop it. Goodreads, show me all my books and not just the ones that I've read, please. No, why is it doing this? Goodreads, please have another day to have a meltdown. Not during my Goodreads live show, please. Wow. All the books on these lists that it's not showing me, but they're there, I promise. For this list, I've read 4 and I would like to be at 6 so far, so I'm behind on that. Let's see. For classics, I've read 2 and I would like to be at 6, so I'm very behind on that. Whoops. I am planning on reading one of them like next week though. And then for physical books, I don't think I've read any of them yet, but I'm hoping to remedy that in the next like month or so. And I've only read The Enchanted April. Oh, you know what? I think it's just showing me... I think why it's doing that is because I did it off of the books that I've read this year, so it's only me showing me books that I've read this year. I think that's why it's doing it, which is stupid. Why would it do that? I don't like it, but I think that's what's going on. Okay, not Goodreads. It's just... I think that is something that they should fix. Like, if you go to a completely different shelf, it shouldn't just show you what you've read so far this year, but I think that's what was going on. Let's see. It's interesting to see what your suggestion videos are. My suggestion videos. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Everything on your 2018 list, if you can get to them all. Yeah, same. I should start a read along for children's classics. But the thing is, I always like flake out. Is that like my anxiety always takes hold and then I always flake out. And that's the problem. Is Goodreads owned by Amazon now? That would make sense why they like promote Kindle and Amazon stuff a lot. That makes so much sense. I didn't realize I didn't realize that happened. When you're looking at your YouTube page, the suggested video is on the side. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's very much like dependent on who's looking at it. Children's Classics Bingo. I don't even think it has to be Children's Classics Bingo, though. You should just, like, do, like, a children's bingo. That would be fun to do in the fall. Okay, so out of the 4 books that I've read off of this list so far, I'm really glad I read 2 of them. And the other 2 I'm, like, disappointed in, but I guess I'm glad that I read them. Other books that are on my list soon. I'm currently over halfway done with Frog Kisser, so I'm really close to being done with that one. And the other ones, who knows if I'll get to them. At this point, looking at them, besides the prize, which honestly, I think I could mark the prize as done because I read a different Julie Garwood book instead, and basically I just wanted to read a Julie Garwood book, so I think I can count that one done as well. And then the other books on here, I just don't know if I'm in the mood for anymore. Or at least currently. A lot of these are like books that I feel like I'd more want to read in like winter or fall. So we'll see how I feel at the end of the year about those. let's see. Wow, Giselle, where have you been? I remember when it was happening because people were leaving Goodreads because they didn't like Amazon, and it was like, ain't nobody got time for that. Exactly. I've been so out of it. That is the point, Keisha. I've been so out of it. I don't know. I've been using Goodreads for, this is going to be my 10-year anniversary next month, I believe, or 9 or 10 year. Let's see. What is it? July 2008, 2008. So this next month is my 10-year anniversary with Goodreads. I don't know. I wouldn't ever stop using it to, unless like I needed to, because I've had so much stuff on it. Just transferring all that information would just be so exhausting. That's why there are so many ads for books on Goodreads, because they're selling it too. Yeah, I never pay attention to that though. There are a lot of book ads though. Okay, so I've only read 2 of the books off this list. This is a reread, so that doesn't count because I haven't reread it yet. But Jane Eyre was a reread as well, and I'm glad I did reread that. To Kill a Mockingbird I'm supposed to read next year, and Wives and Daughters next month, and Wives and Daughters I'm supposed to read. I'm gonna try to read for Tome Topple. And then the other books, hopefully I will get to them, but we'll see what happens. That's always the thing. What happens, we will see. Other books that I want to read this year, anything on this physical list. I just wanted to read a few of these. I wanted to read 6. I have not read any yet. Let's see what happens with this list. I don't know, again, like, I don't know if I super care about these anymore. Like, I don't know. It's not that I don't care about them anymore. I just don't know if they're my priority anymore. I feel like my priority has shifted a lot since then. And as far as rereads, the only books that I've reread so far this year is The Enchanted April, which I lowered my star rating by 1. So I'm going to have to see how all these other ones go. I think I'm going to end up rereading Landline next month is my plan. And then I think the other 4 books I'll try to get to as soon as possible after that. That makes sense, Bruna. Yeah, transferring all that info is just like too much, and like all the dates that you read stuff and things like that, it's just too much. Okay. And then other books that I need to read this year. That's the last question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? So besides the books on my TBR list, which we'll see, I'm really happy about what I have read so far with them, honestly. Let's sort this by author and kind of go through like my top priority ones. I don't know. Pretty much anything on this TBR list of mine are ones that I want to get to this year. They wouldn't be on this list if I didn't want to get to them this year, but that doesn't mean I will get to them this year. I don't know. Anything I'm scrolling through, I guess? There's no way I could possibly get to all these books, but I'll try. The design of the platform you were following was amazing. You wish you could remember the name. You've been with Goodreads since 2009. See, like, that's a really long time to have all that information in there. I was looking at your Goodreads earlier today, Keisha, and it's like you have so many books, like, marked as read and stuff. Like, I can't even imagine. I think you have, like, more than me or as many as me, and it's just insane. Like, I mean, unless Goodreads starts, like, making you pay, and even then, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. Let's see. The fridge is squealing. Aren't you Keisha the Forsaken on here? I don't know why I'm not seeing you, but I know we're friends. I know we're friends. Oh well. Anyway, I give up. But it's just, it's exhausting. Yeah. It's just so much time. So much time. Yeah, I guess that's it then. If you want to see my current TBR, it's this list. What I've ended up doing this year is I ended up going through and splitting my TBR into audiobooks that I want to read, physical books that I want to read, and these are like priority books, and these are just like random physical books. And then I split them into 3 other categories of want to read. So the ones in number 4 are like long term, like I don't think I'll get to them in the next 5 years, or I'll have to, they're books that I have to read other books in order to get to those books. So I have like certain priorities in authors, or this book is like a retelling of this book, so I'm not going to get to this one until I read this one, stuff like that. Number 3 is like a little bit more at my list, but I don't think I'll get to them maybe in the next 2 years. To read 2 is probably like a year or more from now, like somewhere around there, and then this are like ones that I want to get to like ASAP. Keisha Francis on Goodreads. Well then. I don't know, I'm not seeing it. Well, I know that we're friends, because I was just looking at it earlier, because I was trying to look, I was just going through like people's Goodreads who have a ton of books, and you have a ton of books on Goodreads, you have so many. And I was like going through people's who had like a lot of books on Goodreads. And you were like in the top like 10 or something. Like you had so many. Yeah. It gets overwhelming if you don't keep up with it. But if you don't keep up with adding books to Goodreads. But Chris, he stopped adding books on Goodreads for like a long time. And then he just went and added them all. Because he was like, you know what? He's like, I do want this log. And he was stopping doing it because he just like felt like sick of like, I don't know, I guess feeling the pressure or whatever. But he's like, having this log is so nice. And I agree. Is your new way of reading planning working out well? You mean like splitting my TBR like this? Absolutely 100%. And it means I can change it whenever I want as well. I initially got this list down to like 700, and then from there I cut it down to like 500, 400, working on it. Once I got to under 300, I was so ecstatic. I got it to under 250. It's gone back up since then, but I think having it around 250 like works well for me. I don't think I'll ever have like 100 want to read next TBR. That's just way too low for me. There's too many other things. There's too many things to read to have it down to that little. But this works really well for me. It honestly does. Granted, you didn't know about it until today. Yes. Yeah, you say over 1,000 books is marked as read. That's insane. You know who has... I don't think she's in here right now. You know who has the most books out of all my friends? Most books on their Goodreads? Though, it's Diana. She has 1,000,000 books on there. It's insane. I think she has 33,000 books on her Goodreads. Like, they're not all read. a lot of them are to read books, but I'm like, holy frick, no wonder that every book I click on Goodreads, she either has it as read or marked as to read, because she has like every book ever on there. It's insane. Anyway, but yeah, this works really well for me, and I actually sometime soon want to go through my want to read physical list, and I want to go through and check if they have audiobooks yet, because a lot of times older books are getting audiobooks now, so I'm going to check that and keep on checking it periodically. Let's see. And then while we're here, my July TBR. Okay. I don't remember what this was. It was around $5.50 for that. Okay. So this is not all the books I'm planning on reading for Tome Topple. I was just writing like down my top priority books, which I think I've completely cut out The Count of Monte Cristo. I did want to try to read it, but it's just too much for me right now. Final Empire I don't think is happening. Foundation I would like to try to get to this week before Tome Topple starts. And then these ones are still on my tentative TBR. You're trying to get back to your Agatha Christie project. Good job. You have 400 plus read. That's a lot. That's a lot of books. Does putting books on a lower priority take them off the general want to read list? The way I do it, yes. So I have them on exclusive shelves. So if you go to your bookshelves and edit them, you can, and you know, Bedtime Bookworm has a really good video on how she organizes her Goodreads shelves, and I really recommend going and watching her video, Bedtime Bookworm. And she talks all about how to like make them exclusive and sticky and what all these things mean. But as a quick overview, you get 3 exclusive shelves right off the bat: read, currently reading, and to read. They're exclusive and they're always at the top, so you can't mark them as sticky. And then you can make, these ones can be sortable, but your read one can't. I don't know why. And then featured shelves, so if you wanted to like feature them. But then you can make more exclusive shelves, and that's what all of these are. So sequels, if I haven't read, so like say I've read like 4 books in the series, book 5 I would have on my to read shelf, book 6, book 7, book 8, book 9 I put on my sequel shelves. I just wanted to get a handle on how many freaking sequels there were on my list and how I needed to cut down. My fairy tale to read section, which again, if my priority ones are on my to read or to read to, but then ones that I don't plan on reading in a long time and I didn't want to clogging up the space, is exclusive. To read, all these ones are all exclusive as well. You could make them non-exclusive, which is what all of these shelves are. So a book could be on this shelf and on one exclusive shelf, but no books on this shelf could be on this shelf. And no books on this shelf could be on this shelf, and etc. if you make them exclusive. So if you wanted to just have your to-read list and have it be however long, you could make a non-exclusive shelf, so books could be on as many lists as you want, which is what I do for like my TBR 1. Then I stick my most priority books on here, and then as I read them, I delete them off. What I should do with all these books, and then these other books are still on my priority 1, but it's not, you can do them like that, and I like doing it both ways, but I'm not as good as keeping up with these. And then every few months or so, I think it's very helpful to go through your lower priorities and see if you want to bump any of them up or move them down further or whatever, because it's constantly changing. At this point, you're way too lazy to put all the books on Goodreads. Well, Judith, you've never had a Goodreads, and I think you should just get one. Just start fresh. You don't have to put your old books on there. Just start fresh now. And then we can be friends and I can see what you're reading all the time. You want to make things more difficult for yourself. I'm really impressed by people who do that. I don't have the patience to do that, Keisha. I did not see that. It sounds up my alley. The Smutathon. Yeah, my to read shelf was giving me a lot of anxiety as well, which is why I cut it down, and I kept ruthlessly cutting it down until I got it to a section that makes me doesn't feel really like sick to look at it, which is what I finally got it down to. But I got it down to 700, and that cleared off a lot of my anxiety because I cut it in more than half. But then a few months later, that was too much. So again, maybe in the future, I'll be like 270 is way too many, and I'll have to cut it down again. But for now, it helps a lot, and it helps me like focus my reading. Oh yeah, and definitely fairy tale retellings. Definitely take priority over romance books, since a lot of them are romance. um, yeah. I don't even mark that anymore. I'm like, I don't know. There's so many books that I don't own that I have read, and so many books that I have read that I own and haven't read and stuff that I just don't even worry about it anymore. Like, I'm never gonna have like a zero physical TBR, and I don't want that. Especially with my husband always buying books and stuff too. Anyway. Yeah, I know. You have so many books on there, Keisha. But I feel like organizing them this way really works for me, and I don't know if it would work for other people, but it helped me a lot. Originally, when I started adding fairy tale books to my to read shelf, I didn't have a fairy tale like exclusive shelf, so I was just adding them all to my to read shelf, and it was killing me because there were so many fairy tale retellings that I was like, oh, well, shoot, this is so overwhelming to have them all on there. And so now I'm still, whenever I add new fairy tale retellings, I add them into there unless I plan to get to them in the next year or two so that they don't get lost. And I can still come through here and read books on the shelf, and I still do, but this is one of my biggest like things that I was just like, there's so many books, oh my gosh. It's impossible to get to them all, which it is. Hopefully I'll do it though at some point. Um, let's see. I need to go and update like my currently reading and stuff like that. I do need to, but I just haven't yet. Anyway, going through my TBR once more for July. I'm gonna go get a little bit more water because my throat's hurting again. I will be back in a minute or two, and then I'll finish going through some July TBR stuff, and then I think we'll wrap it up for the night because I do have work in the morning. I'll be right back. Yeah, for a little bit, I was trying to do it by genre, and if you go down here, I do have TBR, also Wonderland books, TBR Arthurian books, TBR children's, classics, contemporary, dystopian, fantasy, first in series, graphic novel, historical fiction, horror, mystery, nonfiction, paranormal, poetry, romance, science fiction. I put a science fiction fantasy shelf in case like I couldn't determine or whatever. And then short stories, steampunk, YA. So a lot of these had a ton of crossover, and I did like that much before. I was just like, this is too much. And I stopped because I just couldn't. Anyway. By the way, you guys, I think probably not this week because that's just a bit much. But maybe next week, probably sometime in the middle of next week, around the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. I think I'm going to do... Ooh, maybe I should do it this week. Let me know. Should I do it this week or next week? I want to do a video like this. So this time I was doing a tag. I want to do a video recommending and not recommending books for the Retellathon. So just like going over fairy tale retellings that I've read, and if or not I recommend them, and like my favorites and my least favorites. I think it'd be really fun, and I guess it would... The thing is, the Retellathon, if I wait for another week to do it, then the Retellathon... Shut up! My stupid refrigerator. Anyway, if I wait a whole week, though, then it will be starting in just a few days. Should I do it, like, this week so that you guys can, if you want to, get ideas from it? Or should I wait and do it closer to the readathon? What do you think? I'm really excited, though, and I have a lot of my TBR planned out. Let me see. I did finish this, so I can delete this. And I can technically delete this one as well. And then as far as Gothic romance, I think I'm gonna do Northanger Abbey. So I'm actually gonna be rereading Northanger Abbey this week. So two of the girls who work at the bookstore with me and I decided to start a little book club with us, and we're gonna try to do 3 meetings this summer. And we're starting today with Northanger Abbey, and we're gonna try to read it in the next 2 weeks, and then meet, and then read something over the next, like, the second half of the month, and then do another thing, and then another one in August before they both take off for school. One's going out of state and one's going out of country. And I don't think either will have time to read after the summer, so we're going to try to do 3 meetings, and the first book we chose was Northanger Abbey, and I'm really excited to reread it. Neither of them have ever read it before, and it's totally going to count as my Gothic romance, and I'm so excited. Anyway. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, I'll try to do it this week then. We'll see. Ugh, my throat. I just need to get to it before... I would like to start before Tome Topple, so I can really concentrate on those tomes. But I've been trying to be a lot nicer to myself about, like, not worrying about finishing every single book I have checked out from the library. Because I checked out a ton at once because I wasn't sure what I was in the mood for, and I was bouncing back and forth a lot. And so I need to be nice to myself and just be like, they'll just get returned and expire. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. Because I started several of them and I'm just like, I'm not in the mood for it. Anyway. You own all of Agatha Christie's books? Holy frick. Okay. So trying to see. don't know. I'm having a lot of fun planning my TBR as well, but I also need to take a chill pill for it and actually like wait for them to start. Anyway, I guess that's it for today then. They were cheap. What can you say? Good excuse. I had a lot of fun doing this. This was so much fun, and I'm really glad that you all came. I want to do more like taggy type videos like this, because this was a lot of fun, and it's so much less pressure doing it as a live stream than doing it and editing it and making yourself sound intelligent and cutting out all the hums and haws and uhs and just like staring at the camera trying to figure out your thoughts and stuff. I can leave it all in here and you guys don't seem to mind. And then I don't have to like edit in all the pictures and all this stuff. Video editing is so stressful for me sometimes, and I don't need that extra layer of stress. So doing it like this is wonderful for me, and I appreciate you being okay with me doing videos like this until I feel up to filming real videos again. Anyway, I'm so glad you were able to make it too. This was great to chill after work. Good, I'm glad. I'll try to do more midweek live shows. I think that will be fun. They would be more like fun videos like this though, instead of like weekly wrap-ups. But I've also been really enjoying the weekly wrap-ups. Speaking of, I guess we can figure this out on a Sunday. Would you guys prefer me doing like a scheduled weekly live show wrap-up type thing and like having a specific time rather than doing it sporadically? Should we try to set a time that works best for people and then we can figure out? I mean, I can't do it between 8 and 9:15 EST, but I can do it most of the rest of the time on Sunday. So that's another thought as well. Like maybe I was thinking maybe I should start scheduling them so people can stop like missing them if they want to be part of it. Anyway, you don't mind them being sporadically. Okay. Alright, so yeah, I guess that's it for today. Thank you all so much for being here. I loved doing this. It was a lot of fun, and I liked seeing your answers as well. And you don't mind it being sporadic, and you want me to do them earlier. So the time that I did it on Sunday this time, was that better? Because I did that one a lot earlier, and it was nice not having to go to bed late as well. I agree. Anyway, we can talk about it on Sunday when I do my next wrap-up, although I don't even know if I should do a wrap-up this Sunday, but then next Sunday I don't even know if I will, because I don't know how many books I would have read. And then there'll definitely be a break when I am out of town. So, we'll see. We'll see. They'll be sporadic over the next few weeks as well, but I'm excited to do one recommending books that are retellings, because they're my favorites. Anyway, excuse me. Alright, so anyway, I keep rambling. We should just wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. Y'all are the best, and I wouldn't keep doing this without you. So I hope you enjoyed. And again, if you're watching this like afterwards when everything's said and done and you want to leave all your answers in a big log comment or link me to a video or a blog post or anything, please do so. I would love to check them out. So anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you all on Sunday or sooner if I do that fairy tale retellings or just general retellings recommendation video. Okay, bye everyone. I had a lot of fun too, Bruna.